Strategies for successful e-commerce and m-commerce. Now, last lecture we discussed about the applications of e-commerce, where and how we should be able to use e-commerce in the real world or in our daily life. Now imagine you are going to start up an e-commerce platform, right? In that case, what kind of plans, what kind of preparedness you have to do in if you are going to start up a e-commerce platform or a mobile commerce platform. So you can't just start something out of the box, out of the blue. So there should be a proper plan, there should be a proper strategy, even if it is something that you are doing from home to earn some money. You need to have a good strategy. So we are going to briefly discuss something related to that. Okay, defining an effective e-commerce model and strategy. Most successful e-commerce models include three basic components. One is the content, what you are going to present to your customers, right? Information about your product or services, or industry news, economic news. You have to have information about, you have to have a knowledge about the stock prices and all. Second thing is the commercial activities. So consumers are, there'll be consumers and businesses involving in transactions. So we have to first understand that. The other one is the community, to make your business alive. To keep your product alive, you have to create a community of users. So for that, you may need to have groups, discussion forums. So this model, we have to understand, a successful e-commerce model will have these three aspects. So the content to market your product, then you have to have the proper platform to do the commercial activities. And finally, a community of people or users who will be talking about your product or service, or to keep it alive, right? So that discussion is given here. Providing useful, accurate and timely content such as industry and economic news and stock codes is a sound approach to encourage people to return to your website time and again. So that will attract people when you have lively content, right? It can be a website you're updating with news, or it can be a social media page, it can be something like that, right? So you have to have timely information, latest information, how you can relate your service or product to the real world scenarios. So these are things that where different types of users can come to your platform. Then commerce involves consumers and businesses paying to purchase physical goods, information or services that are posted or advertised online. So commercial activities, basically people want to pay money to either purchase products, purchase information or purchase services, right? So that is the second thing. Third thing, as I told, the community. So discussion forums and other social shopping tools can build a loyal community of people who are interested in and enthusiastic about the company and its products and services. So it can be, how do you say, different within this model itself. I mean, within this particular aspect itself, this component itself, you can think of many ways. So one is discussion group. So that is maybe to be online, let's say Facebook group, or maybe you have a WhatsApp business group where you have set of people subscribing to it. Sometimes you can have these kind of advertisement, like for example, you can have a, let's say, t-shirt, or there could be a purse or something, bags, shopping bags, where you have your product printed, right? So that will go into different groups. So that is another way of keeping your e-commerce platform alive, where you just mention the name of the website. Right. So when we talk about e-commerce platforms, it's mostly a website. Simply it's a website, right? So most people agree that an effective website is one that creates an attractive presence and that meets the needs of its visitors, which might include the following. So if you want to make a website attractive, if you want people to come and visit your platform, here are some points that you need to, or some characteristics that need to be met. One is obtaining general information about the organization. That means when a person comes to your site, they should be able to get information about the organization. That means about yourself or your entity. Obtaining financial information for making an investment decision. Now there might be some people who are coming to your platform where they want to, like, they might think if they feel they want to invest in something, there'll be a lot of investors. So for that, maybe you need to provide some link for financial reports. So I mean general financial performance reports. So some people might look at that and maybe at a time when you are really needed, you are really in a need, some people may, fund you. They might put their money into the business, and you can take your business to another level. So that is one thing you have to consider. Learning the organization's position on social issues. So sometimes you need to have, charity activities, or like there should be some aspect that you are interested with the society, right? How you are dealing with those issues. So there will be some maybe articles or news, anything. Learning about the products or services that the organization sells. So there should be an about section where you should be able to say what is your scope and what kind of things you're going to deliver. Buying the products or services that the company offers. So there should be a facility for, buying it online itself within the platform. Also, after purchasing, they should be able to see the status of an order. Going further, getting advice or help on effective use of the products. So maybe a help desk should be there. Registering a complaint about the organization. There should be a complaint desk also, right? Registering a complaint concerning the organization's position on social issues, right? Maybe there could be some government changes or some protest or something. There should be a way. It's not necessary that now, for example, there might be a product you are selling on the website on your e-commerce platform, which is not meeting the social norms. Maybe it is a product that is disastrous, right? Now, this is like kind of an argument that goes in the US as well. Now, for example, in US, some states they allow people to sell. They allow they allow people to sell weapons. So people are allowed to sell weapons to different states and individuals. Like there are even some other disastrous products which can be put into sales online. So when those kind of things come, sometimes it will bring a conflict with morality, right? So in your website there should be if you are doing a proper platform, e-commerce platform, you should have a place where people can lodge complaints such as those things. So maybe because as a company running the e-commerce platform, we may not have noticed those kind of matters, but we should have a way to lodge the complaint. Providing a product testimonial or an idea for product improvement or a new product. Providing a product testimonial or an idea for product improvement or a new product. That means a facility where people can go and write down their reviews, basically comments, right? If they want to if they want to suggest it to some other person, or maybe if there is a problem with the service, there should be a way to mention their feedback. So that is what they're talking under this. Obtaining information about warranties or service, repair policies for products, obtaining contact information for a person or department in the organization. So as you can see, it's more than just a basic website. In a basic website, you will have just the home page, news, gallery, contact us, something like that. But if you're moving to a e-commerce platform, most of these things are needed, or I would say at least 90% of these features will be needed in the e-commerce website that you are going to develop or run. So with this only, your popularity is going to grow, because if you have only limited features, maybe only some of these things, people will develop an idea that your site is not reliable. They will not recommend your website, right? So this is very important when it comes to e-commerce website. Okay, so after a company determines which objectives its site should accomplish, it can move on planning and developing the site, keeping in mind that the priorities and objectives of customers may change over time. Right? So once you have this basic structure of an e-commerce platform strategized or organized, now you can go into the development phase, right? How you are going to develop, what is the frequency of things you're going to post there. Those things you can plan, but also you have to keep in mind, because you shouldn't do a lot of upfront planning, because people change quickly, moods change, right? Now, even this situation we are here, we have a change of shift in the mentalities of people, how they are going to interact or how they are going to spend money in the future. A complete changes happen. So we may never know what would happen to the customers' minds. You have to always keep in mind their mind will always change, right? With that, do little planning, continue on the development. As the number of e-commerce shoppers increases and they become more comfortable and more selective making online purchases, a company might need to redefine the basic business model of its site to capture new business opportunities. So this is a stage that will come when you have, like, you may consider for your earning or your revenue, some enough number of people have now connected to your platform. Now you will get a new idea. How can I introduce a new business to these same people? Because they have now connected to this platform. Maybe you are getting money in one way, but now you can think of a new business model of introducing new, or you may discover new business opportunities. So a lot of things, a lot of benefits are there once you have a reasonable number of crowd. Right. Now when it comes to development, so this is basically the different options available, how you can develop an e-commerce platform in the modern time. One is you can go with your in-house development. If you have the right people, right technical people who can implement it. So you need people who are experienced with HTML, JavaScript, PHP, or whatever the technology you want to develop the e-commerce platform. You can get the help of those people and start developing. So that is again something that you may most likely do from scratch, from the beginning itself. That is one option. Another option would be outsourcing. Simply what we do is, if we don't have the people, we give it to another party or another company or software company, right? So to get their sites up. And so why people do outsourcing? Reason is, one thing, they may not have the sufficient technical stuff to implement it. Similarly, there could be another reason. They want to get the websites running up faster and at a cheaper cost than they could by doing the job themselves. Right? So simply these are the reasons why people go for outsourcing. If you're going to spend time developing in-house, you have to do a lot of planning. It will take some time, but you can come up with a good product, customized product, but it will take some time. So outsourcing is the most liable option for most of the non-technical people who want to do a business online. Right. Then another strategy is there where you can develop a website is web development firms can provide organizations with pre-built templates and website builder tools to enable customers to construct their own websites. So what is this talking about? Now there are certain websites, if you go, there are certain web development firms, they have their own websites. They provide you some templates. Templates in the sense, now you don't have to have a skill like JavaScript or HTML or anything. You simply have the tools there. Now, for example, like when you are using Microsoft Paint, nobody has to teach you how to use Microsoft Paint, I believe. You just have to open up Paint. You see the tools directly there. You pick up the pen, you start drawing, and you come up with a picture. Similarly, if you want to develop a nice look and feel e-commerce web page, there are online tools directly available provided by certain web development firms. You, as a person, a non-technical person, you can just simply go there and pick up the tools and start building. After you have a nice arrangement, you can then ask them, okay, this is the design, you submit it, and then they will ask you the next step. Where do you want to host? Do you want to? So first they'll ask money for that thing what you have done, because they have provided the tools now. That is reason. This is also another option where non-technical people can go and develop their own web platform. Right. There is another concept called storefront broker when you are developing a website. Okay, what is this? Let's try to understand this. A storefront broker is a business that serves as an intermediary between your website and online merchants who have the actual products and retail expertise. Right? A storefront broker is a business that serves as an intermediary between your website and online merchants to have the actual products and retail expertise. So the storefront broker deals with the details of the transactions, including who gets paid for what, and is responsible for bringing together merchants and reseller sites. So merchants means merchants vyaparigal, right? So these store broker websites such as WooCommerce, Shopify, there are many other platforms. You can search the internet and see if you visit these websites. What they do is they also provide templates. They provide templates for different types of business. If it is cosmetics, if it is a fruit stall, if it's a, I don't know, like a pastry shop, cake shop, whatever it is, right? You have plenty of templates to choose from. Once you select a template, they give the option either you can download the template and use it for your own development and come up with your own website, or they themselves provide you the platform. Right? It's like, again, similar to, not very similar, but like the idea is similar to this web development firms where they provide tools. Only thing in WooCommerce and these things, they don't provide the tools, they provide the full template. The ready-made stuff is there. I mean, the admin panel, everything is ready-made. You don't have to worry about anything about how to add a product, how to view reports. So everything that you need to manage an e-commerce platform is provided by these storefront brokers. So what they do is once you come online, through these platforms, you are connecting with other merchants. That means merchants in the sense like people who want to sell products to, who are seeking people like you, because now you also need products. So if you need products, you want to buy it from somebody, right? So then they will sell it to your platform. Then you can then sell it to your customers. So like you are again intermediary to the merchants, right? So these platforms will provide that kind of facility. So the storefront broker is similar to a distributor. So imagine distributor, you might have known about distributors. Many of these, for example, these biscuit companies are there, right, in Sri Lanka. So these biscuit companies, they have distributors, area distributors, district distributors all around the country. So what is the role of a distributor? They don't do the direct business. They sell it to retailers, right? They sell it to small shops and all. So the main company will give it to the distributor. Distributor will just distribute it. That's the work. So here the difference is we don't have physical products, but we have electronic data that is flowing back and forth. So products are ordered by a customer at your site. Orders are processed through a user interface provided by the storefront broker, and the product is shipped by the merchant. So this is the model that happens, right? So you may not have the product with you, but the customer will communicate with your website. That means to your e-commerce platform, they will come and select the product. So the orders will then go through a storefront broker platform, and from there it will reach the merchant, actual merchant, and that's how it comes. So this is what is called a storefront broker. Any doubts on this concept? You can ask. Any doubts on this concept? Storefront broker? Any questions? All clear? Okay, I assume all clear. விளங்கிச்சுதா எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணது? நான் தனி இங்கிலீஷ்ல கழிச்சு போறேன். ஓகே, மச்சால்க right. So I hope all of you are awake still, so bear with me please. Right. Okay, so that is storefront broker. So this is a good time to think about these things, like different types of business models, what you can do in a post-pandemic world. Okay, building traffic to your website. The first step is to obtain and register a domain name, right? Okay, now once you have decided or developed your website, now next step is you want to host it. You want to provide a URL, right? Basically URL. So the first step is to obtain and register a domain name, which should say something about your business. Now, for example, okay, here's a small mistake. Catch call. Now, if you simply have a name, something like this, stuff for you. So this might be seen to be a good catch call, but it doesn't describe the nature of the business. So it could be anything, right? Because now people have needs now, like this might be a very generic name, but let's say if your platform is solely focusing on soccer uniforms and equipment, then you could maybe go for namings like this, right? Where it describes something about soccer equipment or stuff for soccer coaches. These are just few examples. So the idea behind this, what they're saying is, so once you have decided what e-commerce platform you're doing, so you may have a limited scope, right? You may not be selling all products and services. So according to the product and services, you have to choose a suitable name, because that is going to play a big role in, branding. When we talk to people, they will say, okay, if you go to this, so the name will, give you nice thing about your business. So the more specific that web address, the better it is. Right. Another thing is make your site search engine friendly by improving its rankings. That's another thing you have to kind of plan once you start hosting, making it search engine friendly. That means search engines like Google, Bing, Ask Jeeves, Ask.com, Yahoo Search, all these places, if you want your website to rank first when you are typing certain keywords, you have to focus on creating meta tags. So meta tags are simply in HTML. I believe you might have already learned these things at a very high level. Meta tags, you can create some meta tags with some keywords, and these are the keywords that are going to be captured by the search engines, right? So if you want certain keywords to grab attention, you can put them there. So meta tag is an HTML code not visible on the displayed web page that contains keywords representing your site's content. Search engines use these keywords to build indexes pointing to your website. Keywords are critical to attracting customers, so they should be chosen carefully. They should clearly define the scope of the products or services you offer. So when you are creating keywords also, you have to make sure it's all relevant, right? All relevant to what you're doing. And maybe you have to think from a customer's point of view. If they want to come to your website, how or what would they be thinking about? So what are the words that could come into their minds? That's how you have to think and create these meta tags, right? So there is a whole industry I have already explained earlier, I believe, something called search engine optimization. That is a separate career field where there are companies who do it for a service, like improving websites. Now when companies start up, what people do is they start up their websites and they expect a business, but sometimes their business won't be, they won't be seeing people coming to their site. So for that, what these SEO companies do is they will contact these people and say, okay, I have visited your website, well, there are some things that could be improved. So we could do these search engine friendly features into your website, and they will ask some amount from you. Basically, there are companies who do that, and that's a good industry as well. I mean, it's a good way of earning money for a long time. Right. Furthermore, so meta tag is one aspect. Another thing is using website traffic data analysis software to turn the data captured in the weblog file into useful information. So this is all about analytics. So that's why you have an admin panel. Mostly whatever you show to the customer is the customer view. But from the behind the scenes, you will have an admin panel where you can view, analysis. For example, you can simply, just to get an idea of what I'm talking about here, if you have a Google account for yourself, I assume most of you have a Gmail account. So if you have a Gmail account, automatically you are already granted with a YouTube channel as well under your name. So under YouTube, you can go and if you have this, if you upload videos and things like that. Now that's what we are doing these days for whatever these recording sessions. You can go and see the analytics there. How many people are visiting, how much amount of video has been watched, from what is the age group of people connecting. Lot of different types of statistics you can take. Similarly, in e-commerce platforms also, there will be this particular software component as part of the whole e-commerce solution. So if you are developing something, you also have to think about this analysis, because that is the one going to help you get an understanding about your business, whether it is performing or not. So this data can tell you the URLs from which your site is being accessed, the search engines and keywords that find your site, and other useful information. Using this data can help you identify search engines to which you need to market your website, allowing you to submit your web pages to them for inclusion in the search engines index. So as a result, you can then further improve. You can decide what are the main keywords that are attracting the customers and what they are willing to do, right? So you can come up with a lot of different conclusions, right? Another thing is to provide quality keyword-rich content. Be careful not to use too many keywords, as search engines often ban sites that do this, right? So we have to be choiceful on our keywords, and judiciously place keywords through your website. That means sensibly. Judiciously means sensibly place keywords through your website, ensuring that the web content is sensible and easy to read by humans as well as search engines. So easily trackable keywords should be there. Also, don't keep your website outdated. Always keep updating. Add new content to the website on a regular basis, right? So that then only people see something new is there. Something new is there. They will, popularize that buzzword. When people talk to some other people, they don't have to compare like this website is very dull. Always they have the old thing there, no change, nothing, something like that. Instead of that, don't make a space for that kind of talk and keep updating. Acquire links to your site from other reputable websites that are popular and related to your website. This is another trick basically. So acquiring links to your site from other reputable websites that are popular and related to your website. So for that, you need to do a little bit lobbying. That means you have to discuss, negotiate with these other popular websites. For example, maybe, I don't know, this may not be a good example. Now we have a website in our region called putlamonline.com. Right? A lot of people visit that to read news and maybe read historical information about Putlam, etc. So maybe you can have a negotiation with the admins there or the people who are running there and have your, it may not necessarily be an advertisement, you can just have a link to your e-commerce platform, right? Somewhere in the page, somewhere in the content. Right? Then that will, bring more traffic, because that is a place where a lot of people are coming. So when they click on something, there is a chance, there's a high chance they will click on the link or your link as well. And accidentally, if they land on your page, then they will get an idea about your website. From your side, as I told, there should be a nice introductory interface. The home page should be very attractive. Whenever new people are coming, it should be appealing, describing about your business. So at one shot, when somebody reads or lands on your page, they should be engaging and start exploring your website. Right. The website's design should reflect that diversity if the company wants to be successful in other markets. Right. You shouldn't think always local. You should think about in a global scenario. There could be people coming from different parts of the world visiting your website because now once you are doing an e-commerce platform, it is almost doing some international business. So who knows, somebody might like to buy something from Fifth Coast Street in Putlam. They want to buy some product. There might be a foreigner who is coming to your website. So you have a good market opportunity there. If that one person buys something and successfully, if you provide all the proper services, what we discussed at the beginning of the slides, the transaction, the review platform, all those things, that one foreigner can attract many thousands of or hundreds of and thousands of foreigners coming into your platform. Right? You have a new market opportunity there. So this is why diversity is important. So you have to ensure that you don't use language that is more localized. So again, it is part of your plan. It is part of your business goal. So successful global firms operate with a portfolio of sites designed for each market, with shared sourcing and infrastructure to support the network of stores, and with local marketing and business development teams to take advantage of local opportunities. Service providers continue to emerge to solve the cross-border logistics, payments, and customer service needs of these global retailers. Right. So these big global firms, they don't have one platform. Sometimes they will have a different e-commerce platforms for the different type of products. Because if you are a small company, maybe yes, you will run with one website because you have to manage the cost. But if you have a lot of products, sometimes it's a good strategy that you have different ways of people engaging, because some people may be interested in shoes only. Maybe some people interested in the socks, right? If it is that business you're doing. So sometimes you can have two sites for that. Maybe a person coming to this website will get all the information about socks, right? Something like that. So that is another strategy. What very successful big global firms do. You can find a lot of examples there. Right. Now comes performance. Now you have all these attraction, everything is there, everything is perfect. Now, how do you maintain and improve your contents? So website operators must constantly monitor the traffic to their sites and the response times experienced by the visitors. As I told earlier, you have this admin panel where you can see this analytics, how many people are coming, what is the response time, all those information is there. This has to be monitored, because there could be a reason, maybe everything is perfect and why people are not visiting. There could be a problem from your performance. Maybe your website is taking, even your simple home page is taking a lot of time to load. That means there could be a problem with the server, or maybe it is having heavy CSS. When I say heavy CSS, lot of styling, extraordinary animation, right? Those can maybe slow down the performance, right? So AMR Research, a Boston-based independent research analysis firm, reports that internet shoppers expect service to be better than or equal to their in-store experience. That means imagine a person going to a physical store, that person is expecting a better service on the online platform, better or something equivalent to that, right? Because when they are coming, why people use computers? Again, flexibility, they want to get things done quickly. So these fundamental matters need to be met. So nothing will drive potential customers away faster than experiencing unreasonable delays while trying to view or order products or services. So if you have a page where you select a product and add it to the shopping cart, that adding to the shopping cart is going to take about 5 minutes, then definitely sorry.com, they will never come and visit your website again, even if you have nice graphics and all those things. Right? So you have to be aware of those cases, always monitor what is happening, why delays are happening, all those things. So to keep pace with technology and increase in traffic, it might be necessary to modify the software, database, or hardware on which a website runs to ensure acceptable response time. Maintaining and improving, for finally, the not final point, yes, additional point in the same thing. Website operators must also continually be alert to new trends and developments in the area of e-commerce and be prepared to take advantage of new opportunities. So this is talking about scalability. Your website, if you have done it on your own, you have to have the plan to embrace new changes. If there are new opportunities coming, you should be easily plugging it in. Similarly, as a operator of the website, you should be able to, make use of the new technologies or new opportunities whenever they arise. Personalization is the process of tailoring web pages to specifically target individual consumers. Personalization. The goal is to meet the customer's needs more effectively, make interactions faster and easier, and consequently increase customer satisfaction and the likelihood of repeat visits. Building a better understanding of customer preferences can also aid in cross-selling related products and more expensive products. So this is a concept we have discussed earlier. Why now offline also they are doing this, no? You have this loyalty cards and all. So I have told you the concept of why these loyalty cards are available. So they keep track of your information, and they have information about what you are purchasing, everything. So whenever they have an offer, you get the information, and maybe you get an SMS or an email asking you whether you are liking to buy this. Automatically you feel this is a good thing, and then you already are part of that interest. You have interest in that product or service, then when they give an offer, you will most likely accept it. Right? Same thing can be done in an online platform also in a different way. One simple strategy used is the basic form of personalization involves using the consumer's name in an email campaign or in a greeting on the web page. Right? Most of these online platforms, when you sign in for the second time, from that time onwards, they will give you a nice welcome message with your name. Maybe some animated character will come in. If it's a AI animated character, they will pronounce your name. You will hear the voice also. Right? It's not an actual person talking. So they'll say, okay, hi Nafaz, you have welcome to our website. What do you like to do today? Like they will start talking using your name. It's basically a script running because you have already provided your name. That AI script will pick up the information of the database and start guiding you. So these are some advanced stuff you can think in attracting your consumer. Right. So personalization techniques split into two: implicit and explicit. Implicit personalization means capture data from actual customer web sessions, primarily based on which pages were viewed and which weren't. That means the customer directly coming to your website and his activity, which areas he has clicked, he can capture all those information at a personal level per customer. That is called implicit personalization. Explicit means capture user provided information such as information from warranties, surveys, user registrations, and contest entry forms completed online. Now, sometimes you may have contests or these raffle draws you might have seen in some supermarkets. When you are exiting that point of sale system after purchasing, they will ask you to fill something and put it into the box. So that is a technique for explicit personalization. You can gather their information, their interest through those kind of means, and then maybe do a targeted approach. So marketing firms aggregate this information, whatever collected through implicit personalization and explicit personalization. The marketing companies, what they do is they gather this together to build databases containing a huge amount of consumer behavioral data. During each customer interaction, powerful algorithms analyze both types of data in real time to predict the consumer's needs and interests. This analysis makes it possible to deliver new targeted information before the customer leaves the site. Because personalization depends on gathering and using personal user information, privacy issues are a major concern. So this problem could be there. Some people may not like it. Right? But for a certain level, with the consent, we can still use it for our business purpose. Okay, that concludes the first session there. Any questions on that? On this first session, anything you have to clarify, you can quickly ask. Any different thoughts you have on what I explained about e-commerce platforms? Any questions on that? I recommend that you just go to these websites on Google, search for them, you get an idea. There are plenty of things now. There is something called OpenCart also. It's an open source platform where you can use an open source template. Many e-commerce platforms are there where if you have a business idea in mind, you want to sell something or you want to connect people, you don't have to build from scratch. You just simply can go and get a trial version or something of these websites and begin your business. I would say in the post-pandemic world, in more post-pandemic Sri Lanka also, these platforms are going to be very popular. A lot of people are going to do online retail business. I would like say, okay, maybe I can't say 100%, 90% I'm sure that is going to be the trend, right? That's the most earning way to, most liable way to earn money these days. Okay.